Over. Where are the headphones? Hey guys, there they are.
It's always a hunt for the headphones on Monday.
Well, we rent the studio out,
Yes.
and I just didn't look for the headphones. Somebody put them up there.
Yeah, they're always left nice and neat. Right where they were left. I just can't remember where they were.
I'm clueless. No idea.
All right.
A terrific charity event is held in the St. Louis area every year. You know, the St. Jude Dream Home Giveaway.
Yes, there's one right in my subdivision this year.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wait, the one that they're giving out?
Yes. I shouldn't say in my subdivision.
There's
It's
a
subdivision
4-bedroom,
connected.
2.5 bath home in Darden Prairie.
Yes.
Valued
Yes.
about $700,000.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Tickets are $100. Anybody can win. You know, I always wanted to buy one,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't because I was employed.
Oh, so you couldn't do it?
Wouldn't that be funny?
I met somebody that won one in Lake St. Louis a couple years ago.
Yeah. My daughter's good friend.
Yes.
Her grandparents won.
We're okay. I wonder if it's the same person. Was it the one in Lake St.
5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago.
Interesting. Okay, maybe it's the same person.
Anyway, they sold it. See, because the home comes not with any furniture inside.
Correct. Yes.
So then they used their daughter, who was a real estate agent, to sell it.
Nice.
So they got the money. I mean, obviously, it's a charity. You do it.
Absolutely.
They paid the money, but they won the house, then sold the house, and then used their daughter as a real estate agent, where she got commission.
To sell. That was golden, wasn't it? For $100, golden. Wonder how much taxes you have to pay on that after you sell. I mean, it's still all gravy, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I've always wondered that.
I think I want to win this year.
I think I want to win too. Let's do a cancel this house.
I want them to present me with a house.
Or actually, you know what? That would be great. If you won it, you'd basically be my neighbor. We'd be like a street and a half apart.
Kim says, good morning.
Can I just come over to your house, Vic?
Todd, Sherry, good morning to you guys. Adrian, good morning. Michael and Michelle, good morning to you guys. Happy Monday. Projo had everything rocking and rolling so early. We jumped on early just as we're still getting stuff together. Let's see here. Thanks for sharing the show, as we always tell everybody. Share the show, like, subscribe, jump on the platforms. Check out our Facebook page. Like our Facebook page if you haven't yet, or tell people, just like our Instagram page. If you do the TikTok, go check out the TikTok as well. We're there. I was looking at some of our sites over the weekend. Rumble and YouTube, big spots as well. Good morning, Trisha and Kimberly. Speaking of houses, Trisha's building one. I know that. I saw some of her pictures.
Her house looks gorgeous. I saw her over the weekend. She had her cancel this little half tumbler at the concert, and we took pictures with it. And she's a great, great advocate of the show and a sweetheart. Yes, Todd, Instagram is on fire for cancel this. It's awesome.
I don't know, like 1,000 new likes in 2 weeks or something.
Yes.
I was like,
did you realize I was looking at all the algorithms and stuff on the show link? Finally got that all figured out. And it was like on some platforms, we doubled in a month what we've been doing the whole rest of the time. Last month, we just blew up. So that was
I noticed
exciting.
that on Instagram. I didn't know if that was anywhere else too.
Yeah, quite a few of the platforms. Instagram is on fire. My phone just dings all weekend long with people, both some haters, and they crack me up, but mostly who like us, but the haters just make my day.
Hey, Timothy, good morning. Mary Shea. Thank you guys for jumping in. Always remind everybody, check out our advertisers, please. That's how we're able to do what we're doing. If you guys know of people we can partner with, let us know that as well. Hopefully everybody had a pretty good weekend. I got a picture. I know you got some pictures of Eric playing over the weekend. We'll show that. Lizzie, have you been around us long enough to know what Eric's number one pet peeve is? Or at least what he has told us?
People chewing their fingernails?
No. No.
I don't know.
Being on an airplane or a bus or transportation and they take their shoes off.
Yes, it's the feet. I had forgot about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my former news director took a picture yesterday. Not Fox one, but a long time ago. He took a picture on a plane yesterday of a lady with her feet just kind of like all hanging out in the air.
And why is it they usually have gnarly toenails too?
I don't. This foot looks somewhat manicured. I'm not upset with feet. I've got other issues, but that I have to deal with.
Feet don't bother me either, unless they stink.
Yeah. Good morning to you, Joe.
Todd. Todd says Eric's pet peeve is being on time.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Makes it exciting when we don't know what time he's coming.
Eric's what were you saying every day?
What were you saying about your daughter and our show?
What I said this weekend or previous? No,
this weekend.
Oh, this weekend I have a 14-year-old that she avidly watches the show after. She's not on during the time. She's either at school or right now she's probably sleeping. But she had a sleepover. And I come in her room, and on her iPad, her and her friends are all watching it. And they're actually not making fun of their mother. They're saying, see, we knew this all along. We knew this. And so she will send me TikToks or she will send me things, and she wants to be a deep diver. And she sends me stuff almost every day that occasionally I'll send to you guys, because she now thinks that she wants to be a deep diving reporter after watching Cancel This. Because she's like, Mom, do you realize that this show is the only one that says this? If you turn on the TV, they're not saying any of this. So at 14, she already gets it.
Good. Make sure to keep her away from local news.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Although I did see one network, Scripps, one of my former networks when I worked in Detroit, probably the best network I ever worked for, EW Scripps. They're really trying, once again, until they get the coverage correct, but they're going to throw a lot of resources at local news now.
That's good to hear.
News,
that is good to hear.
Reporters. I mean, there's so many problems with local news. I mean, not the people, but the money that's going in and the management.
Yes.
Because management runs around scared. They're all scared. Oh my God, we can't. What? You mean you want to go talk to somebody who says masks don't work? Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to cover both sides of the story. All sides.
I couldn't believe it this weekend. Speaking of masks,
would actually like to watch this. All right, Joe, let's go, dude. Let's go, Pro Joe. Let's start this bad boy up on a Monday. Recommend to cancelthisshow.com. Hi, guys. Happy Monday, June 26th. Monday, I'm Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks here. Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson on their way in. It is a Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time. You know, we're here all the time. Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. Once again, it's that easy, canceltheshow.com. Check out our shorts as well, the short videos that we do, the 15, 30-second minute on Cancel the Show. I believe it's on Instagram. If you check Instagram, we are, I believe it's Cancel This Show.
Yes,
Correct?
it is. It is Cancel This Show.
No, actually Cancel This Live. We are Cancel This Live on Instagram. You can check out our shorts there. Once again, if you can promote, subscribe, like, put comments in, it gets us out to as many people as possible. The more you comment, even if it's just a hi, a thumbs up. Also for our podcast listeners, you can send, just like you would a text, you can send the episodes that you're listening to out to anybody. If there's an episode that they need to hear, you know, you can let them know even what time we're on there, so they don't have to listen to the entire 2-hour show if they're on the go. But also you can send them and tell them they can get more of those kinds of episodes here at canceltheshow.com. Pro Joe's here in the house. I'm Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks, Tabitha getting set as well. Coming up on the show today, we got so much to get to. It's a Monday, of course, lots going on. We will do our best to get to all of it, but you will not want to miss 9 o'clock. Big name guest. I mean, we've had a lot of big name guests over the 6 months that we've been here, but Grover Norquist, I don't know if people remember him or not. He did a lot, and I mean a lot, when Obama was president, when it came to tax reform. He founded the organization Americans for Tax Reform. He's been around for decades. Really wanted to focus today on an uptick in IRS agent visits to businesses and even homes. When we had America's Mom on the phone, she talked about agents showing up at her home years ago in Colorado. So we'll be talking with Grover. President Reagan asked him to begin this organization. Presidents. He was so he's the president and founder of Americans for Tax Reform. Can't wait to talk to Grover, coming up at 9 o'clock Central Time. So we will do that as well. Tab's take today, the whole Russia situation. You know, she was sitting there with her popcorn. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I get to talk Russia, Ukraine. Yes. Oh my God. It's good to see you smiling.
I heard any popcorn, but yes, maybe.
Oh my God, here it comes. I want World War III. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so we're going to talk with Tabitha for her Tab's Take coming up as well. If we didn't know that drag queens and their mission was hurtful already, and I'm sorry, I will come out and say it because of what we're seeing. Drag queens saying we're coming for your kids. At least they're being honest. I always said it's better to know the enemy and the people who are against you than the people who are behind you, stabbing you in the back. So they're making their points very clear. Once again, we're coming after your kids. We'll get into that. If we didn't know already, the indictments continue. The indictments against Trump continue to help him. His lead continues to grow against DeSantis. And I can't believe how close he is with a liberal NBC polling with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Damn, we'll get into those numbers coming up. Eric, our colleague, was playing this weekend at an outdoor venue. Lizzie was there to take pictures. We'll show you some of them. We'll show you Eric's biggest pet peeve on planes. I think they're Tabitha's feet. Did you travel this weekend?
I did not.
Because when you travel, you take your feet off, your shoes off, don't you?
Never in a million years.
We'll get into that. Man, there's a lot of other to get into as well. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll break it all down. We've got some videos for you too. Some fun videos of people having fun with what's happening in the world today. Also a cancel story. An NFL player allowed himself to be canceled all because of Donald Trump. There were a loud minority of people ruined a celebrity event because this guy wanted to do it at one of Donald Trump's venues. And now the money that's been raised will not be raised because this guy was threatened beyond belief. An NFL player, super player as well. So we'll get into it. We're going to take a quick break, let you take a look at all of our advertisers, our sponsors. We'll be back with cancelthisshow.com right after this.
House has the largest selection of solid wood with the hottest new styles. Real furniture that's built to last, like our solid bedrooms, living rooms, and dining from Kincaid. Our volume enables us to save you a lot of money, especially during our solid wood sale. Plus, get free financing, fast free delivery, and free in-home design. So for solid wood, sweet styles, and solid service since 1964, shop over 3 football fields of furniture at Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Mahesh Bhagway. I'm an orthopedic surgeon here in St. Louis for over the last 20 years. I went to Washington University. I got my medical degree at St. Louis University. From local high school athletes, college athletes, weekend warriors, injured workers, and even Cardinal baseball players, I've treated them all. Our practice strives to personalize care with every new patient being seen by me. To find me, contact my staff at drbagwe.com. That's DRBAGWE.com. Hopefully you don't need me, but if you do, you can find me now.
Jonathan, what does make Rockwood so special?
Rockwood, we carbonize it higher than anybody else does. So we're cooking out everything that produces ash, smoke, anything like that. It gives you a lot more control over the temperature, a lot more control over the fire, and it's 100% Missouri product.
All right, where can people get it?
It's at 100 plus locations around St. Louis, any Deerberg, Straub's, meat markets, wine and cheese stores, hardware stores, you name it, we're around St. Louis. Just check the website.
And good charcoal should be able to break apart in your hands like
absolutely,
does,
yeah.
Right?
If you can't break it apart by hand, it's not charcoal yet. It's still wood. They didn't do the job, so make sure it can break apart by hand.
All right, get your Rockwood charcoal.
Marco, wait. What? No response? Hi, I'm Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
Attention, anyone who served, lived, or worked at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. Camp Lejeune's drinking water was dangerously toxic, and base personnel and their families have since suffered cancer and other illnesses. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and were diagnosed with cancer, you may be eligible for significant compensation. Call the Driscoll firm now. Consultations are free, and you won't pay a fee unless we get you the money you deserve. 1-800-805-4800.
Hey guys, welcome back into canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel, Lizzie Sparks in studio, running our chat boards. Eric Johnson on the way, and of course, Pro Joe engineering the boards. It is Monday, June 26th. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we've got Grover Norquist. Can't wait to talk to him, Americans for Tax Reform. We've talked about it on the show before, but allegedly and apparently, IRS agent visits, surprise visits to homes and businesses increasing. So we're going to get into that with Grover coming up at 9 o'clock. May have a special guest call in as well. Donald Trump was in Novi, Michigan yesterday over the weekend. Our friend George GS3 was there for that event with the Log Cabin Republicans out of Michigan. We'll see if he can get in this morning or not. He's got a bunch of things going on. Also, where we begin, though, this morning, we got to talk about some of those numbers. If we didn't talk about it already, NBC polling, obviously NBC, one of the most liberal networks you're ever going to find, way, way, way more liberal than CNN. Local and national news media won't tell you that, but super, super, super liberal. Trump's polling since the indictments have now increased again. He's up to 51%. And I still think he's always going to have lower voting when it comes to the liberal polling. 51% of Republican voters, DeSantis, like 21, 22%, Pence 7%, despite the indictments. It did not work. Even this was interesting because it was 46% to 31% Trump to DeSantis. So it increased 6 percentage points after the indictments. And the other part of this one, Joe Biden gets 49% to Trump's 45%. And this is liberal polling NBC. That's within the margin of error, even for their liberal polling, which goes to show, not everybody loves Donald Trump, and I get it. I was with some people over the weekend, some conservatives who said they're not fans of him. We've talked about it, but not to get into it all, but just to break it down, what the indictments have done for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Nobody else has a shot. And of course, there's the August trial now that's allegedly supposed to begin in August for these indictments in Florida.
Does it matter?
It doesn't.
Does any of it matter?
No.
I mean, look at Biden. He continued even after Hunter pleaded guilty. Look what he did. He continued to invite Hunter, and Hunter did attend a dinner with the Prime Minister of India. I mean, what does that show?
It's in your face.
What does that show?
No, it's
Totally
in your face.
It goes to show us that A, he does not care, right? Joe Biden does not care. B, Democrats do not care. It does not matter what he is guilty of or that the world knows. He's going to continue to attend official White House functions. They're just throwing it in our face.
What's interesting too is I saw this where it came. The attorney for the IRS whistleblower on the Hunter Biden allegations obviously said it was credible, that these are massive issues. And even if they can't, the Republican House Oversight Committee can't get charges brought up or anything else on this. It's hurting Joe Biden. It is. Now, we'll see what happens with voting. That's a whole nother deal. But his polling has gone low. I mean, it continues to go lower. People don't trust Joe Biden. They don't. We know that. We've already gone through that. And they certainly don't trust this Hunter Biden situation, or they just put their head down in the sand. So
will any of it matter? Let's just say if no one votes for Joe Biden, because I don't believe anyone voted for him to begin with, will it even make a difference?
Well, Representative Darrell Issa tweeted yesterday that Joe Biden's lawyered up, and I don't know what that meant. I've been looking all over liberal media for what he meant, but he allegedly has lawyered up. But I don't know if that has to do with the whole situation with his son or just to protect accusations that may be coming out.
And is it Joe Biden number 1, 2, 3, 4?
Exactly.
I mean, which one is it?
Which one is it?
You know, who do we see on a regular basis? I saw more photos over the weekend of the actual Joe Biden at an advanced age compared to this guy we see. I mean, what don't you think this is one of the biggest propaganda, one of the biggest shams ever played on the American people?
Yeah, it is.
I thought Obama was, but it's Biden. It's like, let's find this guy, just like the movie Dave. Let's find this guy who looks like Biden. We'll make him act completely incompetent.
Yes.
You know, but we're still going to keep him as our president. And then they over the weekend, I read about a call that took place with Biden and like, I think Macron and some other world leader. And I'm like, who was really on that call?
Right.
Because it wasn't Joe Biden.
No, there's a lot of propaganda that gets pushed out. The whistleblowers that came out. And of course, as soon as Hunter pleads guilty, then we see the second whistleblower that came out. We already showed the WhatsApp. There's the proof. We already have the proof from the WhatsApp. Story came out Friday afternoon. Hunter Biden on a WhatsApp, literally forcing a Chinese official into doing what he wanted him to do. And he better get it done because my dad's sitting right next to me. If you don't do this, you're going to suffer the consequences. Literally, we have the information. There's proof. It is what it is. It's sad. There's there's a lot of people who just want to again stick their head in the sand, not pay attention to what's actually happening. We already know everything that's going on with Joe Biden. There's no way in hell that man will win a re-election if anything is fair, and we already know that. People in America are not voting for Joe Biden, and if you are, well, I'm sorry. You need to look in the mirror, and I think we know a lot about you if you would ever cast a vote for him. But the bottom line, why we brought this up, is Trump's numbers continue to go up with all the unethical attacks that continue to come after him. And we really piss some people off. It's fun to watch.
Every day.
It is fun.
And listen to angry mob Democrats. Oh, my God. They are so afraid of Donald Trump. We got a couple Democrats on our show. We want them all. But once again, it's just sad to see what's happening with everything.
It is extremely sad. What I'm curious about is the poll numbers for Biden continue to drop. I just read a report this morning, and this was in Foreign News, that said 36 of Americans actually don't want Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
36%?
And 36%. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I don't really believe
I believe it.
So I don't know.
No,
but let's say if it's true that 36% of Americans don't want Joe Biden or Donald Trump, who would be the go-to, on either side?
Correct.
Michael.
Who would be the go-to?
It's Michael.
You think?
It probably is Michael.
Yeah.
It probably is Michael.
But I don't agree with that. And the reason why is because Obama already has he's already running the shadow government.
That's true.
That whenever Trump was in office, right, there was a shadow government, and they went ahead of him to every visit. Remember when Biden? Oh gosh, I just called him Biden.
Well, it's the same person.
Thing.
It is the same thing.
When Obama shadowed Trump, he would go to every world leader ahead of Trump to try to sway the discussion. He definitely did that. We have proof that he did that. So why would Michelle have to put herself in the spotlight, put the Obamas in the spotlight, be under media scrutiny when they can run it all from the shadows?
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a joke. Gavin Newsom's the guy that most people think that would be there. But
yeah, I think so too. Gavin Newsom.
Once again, who knows where this there's so much crap surrounding the Bidens and the Biden crime syndicate. It's sad. They make the Clintons, well, outside of the death and everything.
Would Newsom be a puppet?
Of course he would be.
For sure.
But yeah, so we wanted to get those numbers out there. Pro Joe, if you can get ready for Tab's take over the week, the other big story of the weekend was Russia. You know what? Before we get into that Russia thing, Lizzie, Pro Joe, can you pop up pictures of Eric since he came into the studio?
Oh yeah.
Can you break down the weekend, Lizzie?
It was amazing.
Go on.
So I've seen Eric at indoor venues, but I personally haven't seen him at an outdoor venue.
Neither have I.
And so it was amazing. So it was at Frankie Martin's in Cottleville. The place
in the St. Louis area for our national listeners.
Yes, and the place was completely packed. Packed. And they had to do a G-rated show,
they did.
Which was so fun.
I saw little kids up at the front
of
the stage. And I was
so fun.
They invited them up.
That was so fun.
It was. And the kids got up on the stage.
There's Patrick in the background.
It was, it was awesome. Yeah. I can go on and on and on, but it was
100 degrees at showtime.
Oh, I felt so sorry for you guys up there.
I was trying to wait it out. That's why I didn't make it. I was waiting.
Remember the old Busch Stadium when you'd see that big old thermometer on the side of it's like, the ambient temperature is 92 degrees.
Yes.
But on the field, Vince Coleman sitting there by a thermometer that says 105. That's how it was, Vic. You would have loved it.
I know. Well, I was talking to Lizzie. I was like, Lizzie, it's got to be hot. I don't want to come out and start sweating my butt off yet.
Yeah.
But everybody was sweating, but it was fun. It was worth the sweat. It was so good.
It was cool to play in our backyard too.
Eric plays for Platinum Rock Legends. They travel. Hell, you guys travel the country. You played at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last week, and all kinds of good stuff. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
I thought of you, Eric, because I thought, what?
I love the action. Lizzie,
I thought of you too.
Lizzie,
it was so hot.
Yeah, I took those.
Lizzie took these pictures.
Yeah.
And they are fantastic. Photos, by the way.
You know what was neat? It was a new venue.
It was.
If you're from St. Louis, and if you're not, come to St. Louis. Well, don't go to St. Louis. Come to St. Charles.
Correct.
Because St. Louis, you'll get killed. But if you come to St. Charles, you go to this place called Frankie Martin's. Really cool venue.
It really was.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I had quite a few of those wine slushies. They were so good, and the food trucks were all there.
You had quite a few?
I did have quite a few. They were good. It was hot, and it was worth having those. And then I just barged my way right up there. And, and I could say, one lady said, "Why are you up there?" I said, "Because I know the guy over there in black with the cute."
And we thought of Tabitha, too, as she was digging out the trenches for her new bunker.
Yes, we were. Yes. I think you mentioned her name and said that, too. I think you did.
So, too.
I did think of you because I thought it is.
I mean, she's as tall as the kids were. That's for sure.
And that's actually true. I have my flat shoes on today. If anyone saw how short I am, they would actually agree with you. I really did think about you because it was so incredibly hot.
It was.
Yeah.
On Saturday. It was so hot outside. Yeah. And I kept thinking, there you are, you guys, all of you up there on stage under the hot lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having to wear long pants, usually plastic tight long pants. You had to have been like dying from the heat. You had to have been.
Yeah.
And I know you're used to it. I know you're used to it, but that can't not make
He didn't miss a beat. None of them did. It was so good. At one point, point, Eric could tell you that, like, I guess all the electricity went down for a very brief minute, and it did not hamper the situation at all. A couple of them went out and sang. Everybody walked through the crowd. The crowd
so the power went out?
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah.
I was
It's
wondering
part of
about
our show.
that.
We always have technical problems.
Well, that's part of it.
Sometimes the video screens are
But it-
falling over.
But it was just you guys? Or,
I'm used to it.
or was it the entire city? Because when I came home from being out of
No.
town over the weekend,
No, we
last
blew
night,
the
my power was out.
No, we plugged in too
or
much
had
stuff.
been out and came back on.
Yeah.
No, it's good. And by the way, if you didn't know already, and if you're new or if you're listening from around the country on our podcast or watching us live, Eric.
Thank you guys for coming out. But man, what's really important is what's happening this weekend and the Norquist stuff that you got.
We
set up
are.
today. I'm so excited about
Platinum
it.
Rock legends. Eric's a legend. Let us say it, Eric.
No, stop it.
No,
Eric,
he is.
Eric was
People
also
in the
a shooting
crowd were
star.
saying all kinds of stuff about Eric.
Not
probably
good.
more than anyone. No,
Not
it was
good.
all good. He's got quite the little groupie little following.
He does.
I've never met him
for
before.
sure.
He really
Oh,
does.
yeah, he does. Yeah, he
Happy
does.
Monday,
does.
Eric. Hey, by the way, real quick, we were talking about Trump polling numbers. GS3 was with the President Trump over the weekend. He was in Michigan. So we bring in GS3, George Steger III. George, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. President Trump was in Michigan over the weekend. I sent a couple of pictures to Pro Joe. He'll pop those up once we get you in here. How was the weekend with Donald? Did you get any one-on-one pics with him?
It was amazing, guys. Donald Trump was back in Oakland County, a battleground for the 2016 and 2020 election. We had about 2,600 people at this dinner. It was amazing. As always, he went into all of his policies he wants to implement for 2024, protecting parents and their rights to their children, and of course, indoctrination of the children, as well as a lot of stuff about the Motor City and electric vehicles, how, electric vehicles are more, cause more pollution than regular vehicles because digging into the ground to get the materials is rather difficult. So a lot of great stuff he talked about last night, actually.
I'm so jealous.
Oh, me too. How fun.
I'm so jealous.
So was it sold out? I just said, I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. Was it 2,600 people when you could have had 45, or was it 2,600 when it was like 22 capacity? How was it?
I think they could have opened up more space, to be honest. It was wall-to-wall people. I was kind of laughing at some of these headlines that Fox News put out about how folks are discouraged by the investigations going on with Trump right now, and that they're losing faith. But last night definitely didn't disappoint with his supporters. So
yeah, that's called propaganda, isn't it? Because
exactly.
they want you to believe. They want you to believe it's psychological warfare that people are not supporting Trump after these allegations or after the indictment. Because if they can convince people to believe that, then people will often side with what they think is the masses' opinion.
Absolutely. And even there was people lined up outside driving to the event space. There was people on the highway, on the overpasses waving flags. And you really just do not see that support, obviously, with Joe Biden. And, it's so hard to believe anything you read in the mainstream news about what's happening with his supporters.
Even Chris Christie did an event this weekend, I believe.
That two people showed up to.
Well, he was booed. So
those two people booed him?
Well, no, because Chris Christie was tasked to be the bulldog of going against Trump. He knows that he's not going to win, but the crowd booed him when they started saying how we don't need this kind of leadership anymore. They're like, boo. And I think I think that they've already ran that out. It's not going to work. That the mainstream media, it's Donald Trump versus the mainstream media and all of these never Trumpers. And here's the deal, guys. His polling just went up 9 points. DeSantis has went down. I mean, he's on a run. And the only thing you have to be worried about, I ask you this, he is still 5 points behind Biden in the head-to-head general polling.
It depends on where the polling is coming from. I think that's a good thing, Eric, that it's that close.
Is it really?
Yes, it blows my mind.
He should be up by 9, you would figure, if it was really true.
Liberal media is never, ever going to tell you the truth.
Okay.
We've already talked.
Exactly.
Their polling will have all kinds of situations that are going on. So, Joe, I sent you a couple other pictures there. If you have of George, I redid them myself for you. George, we had to reformat your pics, but I wanted to show you from there last night. What do you think the general? I think you led this whole interview off real quick because I know we only had a couple of minutes with you. Battleground State 2016, Battleground State 2020. No doubt, Battleground State 2024. There's Trumpy from last night. That was last night, right? With you?
Yes, it was last night. Yep.
It's awesome.
What 2024, no doubt, will be a battleground state in Michigan, because we talk about Missouri's a red state now. It didn't used to be, but man, I lived in Michigan for 11 years, and man, it is right down the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, so surprisingly, with all the money in Oakland County, actually Oakland County used to be the second richest county in the U.S. I think we're like 16 or lower now. But surprisingly, Oakland County leans very blue, which is rather odd. But in 2016, it did flip red. And we're hoping to continue that trend for 2024. In my opinion, just talking with friends and folks who lean more to the left, a lot of them have shown more support to Trump. So that's promising. So that's why I chuckle when I see these headlines on Fox and these other news outlets. It just doesn't compute to what I saw last night with the wall-to-wall people.
Yeah, it's true. There's always a level of enthusiasm with Trump that the left never gets. But unfortunately, the polling numbers don't reflect that in the generalized, polling situation. Why is Michigan blue? I mean, I've never understood why.
It's only Detroit.
Well, but why?
The same as Illinois. It's only Chicago.
And some of it's like, and Oakland County is a lot like St. Louis County.
Yeah, but the good people of Michigan seem very level-headed. What is up with the education? They don't want to be pushed on all of this critical race theory stuff, taxation up there. I mean, how?
George, take that question.
Yeah,
Eric
I would love to know.
Then we'll let you go.
Yeah, so I think that Vic and whoever else said it was right. A lot of the blue comes from Detroit and actually Grand Rapids, surprisingly, even though it's kind of like a Bible Belt type area. Most of the state is red. Personally, I do believe that there may have been some alleged election interference. That's just an opinion. They locked out a lot of Republicans counting downtown there at Cobo, now called TCF Center. So, it's highly questionable. I know you get canceled, no pun intended, if you say that there was election interference. But yeah, it's surprising to me. I don't really know what it is. I don't know what people love about not having any money and being broke all the time with this economy.
Right.
Hey, George, we love you. Real quick, did you want to promote anything with the Log Cabin Republicans?
Oh yeah, just check us out. Log Cabin's welcome to everybody. We're fast and growing in the state of Michigan. I'm trying to encourage 2 other chapters in the state because we're such a large state. And check us out at logcabindetroit.org. So Thank you so much, guys.
GS3, we appreciate it, bud. Talk to you later. All right, great to get an update with President Trump and how Michigan feels about it.
You know what? Here's the deal. So hearing this, our old colleague, Chris, we had the pleasure of running a little bit of security for Trump when he came here to St. Louis the first time, 2016. And it was at the old, I can't remember, the Peabody, whatever the Peabody is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were down there. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Donald Trump, the apprentice guy. Okay, whatever, whatever. Right. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then we went down there, and I guess the Peabody has about 3,000 people. Maybe you can fit in there.
Correct. And I think it was his second time ever appearing like that.
Yeah. And I look outside the back door. There must have been 6,000 people lined up around the place.
I was there.
I was there too.
I was standing.
Do you remember
in front.
that?
I was standing in front, right in front of the door. I did not get in line to go inside. I had tickets. In fact, I still have my tickets, unused tickets for that day. I chose to stay outside in front, and I saw him come in and out. But Trump has been to St. Louis many times. I was his campaign person, handing out Trump for President buttons in the year 2000. And he's been to St. Louis numerous times and has given speeches about the presidency and how our country has been mismanaged. So when he came, with the time you're talking about, Eric, when you and Chris got backstage and you guys ended up doing some security actions.
Yeah, but it
was
was
an amazing event.
I think what was missing in the last election is I don't think Trump had that. He wasn't. I mean, yes, he was still doing his. He was doing rallies, and yeah, he was doing stadiums and place where. But there was this weird organic thing that Trump had back in 2016 that he just spoke as a populist to everybody. And if you would have put in Biden in that same venue in 2020,
no one would have been there. No one would be there now.
No one.
Nobody is there now.
No one would be there now, Eric. And that day was crazy. Do you know where I was standing? As a matter of fact, I didn't know Owen Schroyer at the time, who is, of course, what is he working with now? What is that
InfoWars?
InfoWars, that's
St.
right.
Louis based.
And he was standing right next to me almost the entire time.
Oh, wow.
And there was a huge fight that broke out because I was standing next to all these Bernie Sanders supporters who were just going absolutely crazy, trying to spit on Trump. They were spitting on his reporters. And I thought that day, how nasty are these people?
Yes.
Oh,
I was there too. And that was the first time I saw the buses. Yeah. I had never understood that they were busing in college students and professors.
These were all young white kids.
Yes, they were. And they were busted. And we were around a whole bunch of them as well. And I asked them, where did you come from? They showed me where the buses were and said that they were from colleges all over the United States. Yeah. So that early, they were busing them in.
And I guess to wrap up the Trump talk from this morning, and it goes with what this show's about, the cancel this education factor. Buffalo Bills player Jordan Poyer, he's a starter. He's a really good player. He was trying to do a charity event, and a big portion of that would go to help kids. And he was trying to do this, and at least he had it scheduled for the second week of July at Trump's his Doral in Miami golf club. Wanted to do a big event. Was excited, promoted. They had tons of money committed to go to these charities, including some kids. And cancel culture mob showed up, started ripping the Buffalo Bills. And you don't even know how many people it really was, but they put a coordinated effort together to go after Jordan Poyer in New York. He's a Buffalo Bill, to the point where it got so loud that he felt uncomfortable, where he had to cancel his golf event. So the charity event will not take place because he had to cancel it at the last
Man, you would
minute.
think,
That's sad.
you would have thought cancel culture was coming to its deathbed, but it's not, dude.
But, but here's the thing, though, Eric. Some people will still go on and do their things and not worry about cancel culture. But this is an entertainer who's also with the Buffalo Bills, and we don't know if somebody in the Buffalo Bills organization, oh my God,
who cares?
I can't do this.
Who cares?
But sometimes we see, I've talked about former bosses of mine, they're not bad people, they're just afraid. Mm-hmm. They're afraid to push through, and he's an entertainer, and of course, people buying tickets and not buying tickets, and just want to get that out there that there are still people, the loud minority, that will try to do. I mean, and Jordan Poyer, for all intents and purposes, from what I've heard, is a really, really good dude, just trying to help out.
Yeah, but screw it.
How dare you use Donald Trump in this awesome facility?
Yeah, I mean, it's just screw it mode. It's do what you want to do in life. There are no consequences if you just do what you want to do in life, especially in the United States of America.
What about
there are no consequences. Do what you want.
What about getting on airplanes without shoes on, Eric?
No, hell no.
Before we get to tabs take,
cancel them, but no one else.
Before we get to tabs take, Eric, a former boss of mine who we follow each other on Facebook, he was on a plane yesterday, and you two share the same pet peeve. He got this picture.
What?
Look at this. This is actually in an aisle of this woman.
I don't know if I can look at this. Oh, whatever.
Oh, look at that. That's funny.
No.
Yeah. So he said in his post, and I was saving Sean's name here. He circled the feet and the dog as two of the things that he said should never be happening on airplanes.
Holy crap. Is that a private plane?
No,
I mean, my God.
No. That's a commercial flight.
No.
And he's like, I think I win an award for something for capturing this photo.
Wow.
I hope the drink cart smashes him. Not the dog, but the feet.
So Eric,
with the feet. The dog's okay.
What about sandals?
No.
Now, see, I would wear sandals on a plane, and I see other people do it all the time.
No.
But
it's not your place.
I would never take the sandals off and have my bare feet. Never would I do that.
Yeah. Would you like to see some guy wear a T-bar, a thong bikini?
Oh,
well,
God.
That's different than wearing sandals.
No, it is not. It is not. Keep yourself covered up. Anyway.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
many people are against feet. That's surprising.
It's not that we're against feet. That's not the problem.
Well, you should never take your shoes off in a public place, no matter what.
Even if they're sandals?
No, you should never take your sandals off in a public
But Eric says sandals are the same thing.
But no, I don't have any issue with people wearing sandals.
Okay, it's the same thing. If some construction worker gets on the plane and has a one of those cut off T-shirts or something, and he decides to put his hands over his head for the whole flight, and your nose is right by his armpits. It's the same thing?
Where the hell did that come
definitely not the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
Like Alex said on the comment line, sandals are the key shoe wear when you're going through the checkpoint because you can easily just pop them off,
slip them off,
and pop them back on.
Right.
You know,
I noticed it first when I was in Seattle because those people are disgusting. They basically wear those Birkenstock sandals everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. Yes. They don't wash them. They don't shower. And then you think to yourself, oh my God, first of all, your feet look horrible.
Right.
But they don't care because they're so a la natural, and it's like, it just makes you think to yourself, what happened to the good old days?
Eric, you would have done what we did. One day we visited a church that's right near our house, and their worship arts director guy was up there with Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
Literally, my husband goes, gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta go. If the worship arts guy's got Birkenstocks,
Facebook
I'm out
user
of here.
says people Jesus wore sandals. Okay.
Also true.
Yes, Jesus did wear sandals.
Jesus didn't get on planes.
I'm guessing Eric's not going to listen to that.
So
What's
true.
that site? The site for feet only. There's now an actual site out there that people pay good money to look at people's feet.
There are many of them.
No.
Yes, I guess Eric's not on.
I don't think. Yeah, as long as you take care of your feet, I don't mind.
There's a time and a place.
I'd rather look at somebody's feet than somebody sitting next to me, like chomping on food with a loud.
Oh yeah, that's worse for me.
Yeah,
that sound.
But Eric,
asparagus and Birkenstock sandals.
Eric,
and people that play lotto tickets at Quick Trip. Get out of the way.
What if it were your girlfriend and her wearing sandals? Now you don't have a problem with her feet, right?
It depends where we're at.
Yes.
If we're going somewhere like to the beach, knock yourself out.
So sandals are only for the beach.
Yes, it's on the label. It
You're
says
trying to
only
corner
wear
hell.
these at the beach.
It's funny.
Hey, this is cancelthisshow.com. We mix serious with some fun as well. That was one of Eric's pet peeves. I saw a friend and an opportunity when he posted the picture to bring that up today. One of the other big stories for the weekend, and I said, Eric, Tabitha was like, eating her popcorn. She's all excited. Russia's in the news. Oh my God, there's going to be a coup. Here comes World War III. Well,
this was her Super Bowl this weekend.
And we're going to get for Tab's steak.
Tab steak.
So I think we know. By the way, Vic, it's Doritos, not popcorn for me.
I got
But this was probably the shortest coup ever that took place in history, the shortest coup attempt that ever took place in history. But I was worried at first when I started seeing, not worried, but when I started seeing these news reports coming out, headlines popping up, talking about, the Wagner Group, has turned, they're going into Russia, they're heading into Moscow, they're going to try to get to Putin, blah, 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 Putin's flown out of town. Now, we always have to wonder when it comes to Russia, don't we? Is it propaganda? Or is it real? Is it propaganda or is it real? And I personally believe that this was a real coup attempt. I really do. And I thought so from day one. And a couple weeks ago? Because we're always so far ahead of things on this show. On this show, we talked about Russian troops turning against Putin. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We talked about that because there were rumblings back then that there was a rebellion beginning within the ranks. At the time, I didn't realize that the Wagner Group was behind it. And by the way, their official name now is PMC Wagner, Private Military Organization Wagner. It's headed by who they refer to as Chief Prigozhin. Well, apparently this guy, most likely, if I had to guess, I would bet 100%, I would put all my eggs in one basket, that the United States, NATO, Europe, that we ended up being the highest bidder because these private military organizations, they will fight for anyone, right? Like the Chechens. The Chechens will fight for anyone that pays them enough money. I will bet you anything that the United States and Europe stepped up and they gave money. They finally wised up and they thought, well, instead of us giving all this money to Ukraine, hey, maybe we should give some money to Prigozhin. Let's turn against Russia and see if we can fight the war that way. Well, if that's the case, it horribly failed. I think they know It horribly failed. They didn't get very far. Nothing happened. Outside of I believe one person in Donetsk region, I don't think anyone lost their lives. But they did close the street. They did declare martial law for a short time. But so the story to me isn't really the coup. It's what happens now, right? Because all of these countries, there was also a coup in Belarus. And it just happens to be that what did we do recently? Putin put tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. So all of a sudden there's a staged coup in both Russia and Belarus. And so what came out of that? The first thing that came out of it is now Russia is publicly stating now that we, the United States, were behind the coup. Belarus is stating that we, the United States, and Europe was behind the coup, not only in Russia, but in Belarus. They've already informed their intelligence agencies of such. But what do you think happened because of it? Now, Germany has sent 4,000 troops to Lithuania over the weekend. Australia sent another $73.5 million to Ukraine. Do you know Australia at this point has sent $527.7 million to Ukraine?
Not surprised.
Europe.
Not surprised.
Yeah, Europe.
Wow.
The European foreign ministers setting another 3.5 billion euros because they're never going to give up, are they? They're never going to give up. Well, what do you think? What do you think Ukraine is doing? Instead of Ukraine talking about this coup and about all of this, you know what they did? They released a big video trying to recruit members from the LGBTQ community into their army. So they're trying to form an LGBTQ brigada.
Say that again. Just say that again. LGBTQ brigada.
And I didn't have time to get the posters to Joe, but they released all these posters and all these different commercials. You know,
Wow.
And then on top of this, we have to keep asking ourselves, why are we doing this? Mm-hmm. Why are we giving every penny we have, the United States and all of Europe, to the point, I don't know if you guys read this last week, to the point where it's the first time ever in Britain that they have lost more money than what has come in.
That's your mercenary leader, Porger or Porgeable. What's his name?
You're the news anchor.
What's that?
I don't know. No, your guy you were just talking about.
Chief Prigozhin, yes, standing there in the middle. Chief Prigozhin standing there. And you know what's interesting is the United States was just getting ready to name.
When's he going to die?
Well, they actually extradited him already. Belarus, they worked out. President Lukashenko has known Chief Prigozhin for 20-something years. They've been friends.
Wow.
And he negotiated for him to be extradited out. I don't remember where he went, somewhere in Europe, to where he will not be prosecuted and nothing further will happen to him.
Nah, something will happen to him.
And I think something will happen to him.
The problem with all these guys is they're old KGB cats. Actually, this guy was a caterer, wasn't he? He wasn't even a military guy. He's a billionaire. I know that.
He is a very wealthy man. And,
he's bloodthirsty. He's very power hungry.
He doesn't look like he's ominous in any way.
But what the world needs is a Gorbachev. It needs Russia to have someone that, is a little bit more in line with what democracy actually is, a populist guy that can come in and say, hey, I'm giving this country back to you guys. We're going to live in concert with the former Soviet states. That's what the world needs. What it's going to get? Hell no. But in all fairness, Trump is going, we have to be United States nationalist. We have to be a sovereign country. We have to be strong and powerful ourselves. So it's unfair in some ways to think, hey, Russia, why don't you just join the European Union and be done with it and be a happy little country?
Well, that'll never happen because he's fighting against New World Order.
No, I get it.
Europe and the United States, we're fighting for New World Order.
Well, we are now.
He's fighting against New World Order.
We are now. It's right. We're trying to have an open border
But
world.
What is this really about? Over the weekend, what it's really about is all of these business dealings going in Ukraine. It's about the sex trafficking. Just this weekend, I'm not kidding you, just this weekend, there was a man who was arrested on the Slovak border for organ trafficking for 1 and 2-year-old children. And you know where he was heading? To Europe. He was in Ukraine trafficking the organs of 1 and 2-year-old children and then trying to make his escape to Europe to sell the organs. Think about that. You know what organ trafficking is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the slaughter of children to steal their organs to sell them to wealthy people in Europe and in the United States.
I looked at this as a massive propaganda attempt by Ukraine, maybe the United States, because they know, number one, opinions are starting to shift in America. Even though it's slow, they're starting to shift. And that starts with liberal politicians and conservative politicians. And the tide is starting to change. Like, wait a second, we've given at least, if not more, at least shown over $1 trillion in financial, humanitarian, and military aid to Ukraine. And that's just the United States. That doesn't include the other 10 countries that are giving massive amounts of aid to Ukraine. So they know something has to happen. This can't go on forever. And this was all begun in a weird sense as it was. Don't think, and Tabitha's broke it down, Russia just didn't wake up one day and Putin, not saying he's a good guy, didn't just decide, hey, I'm going to start a war today. Out of nowhere. There's backdrop to it. There is some backdrop. I'm with you, Eric. I know there's some backdrop.
And nobody's saying, I don't think any of us are saying that Putin's a great guy.
The United States has an interest, or we would not be given as much money as we are, and money that's not been shown, where we don't know where much of it goes. There's no...
we don't know where any of it goes.
So I do believe there's coordinated efforts, Eric. I do believe it wasn't just this chief going, we're going to take over a coup in Russia today. No, there are countries that are trying to get together to come against Putin and this Russian government to end it, because they know Russia will not lose. They
will not lose.
Well, on the one hand, you go, Trump's gone, Biden, this boob is in. If we're going to do it, now would be the time to do it. I think we can take over Ukraine in a matter of, to be fair, maybe 3 months. I can do it in 3 months, maybe not a day. And that's probably what was,
Russia's not trying to take over Ukraine.
Well, if
they wanted to, they would have already.
I think that they were trying to get that swath of land.
They want the eastern region
that went down to
Russian-speaking people.
Right. And I think that he's like, I can probably do that. Then I can negotiate for the surrender of that land. And that's probably really a true story.
It is a true story. He tried to negotiate. Guess who stopped the negotiations? We did. We did, because we don't want to give 1 inch to Russia, not 1 inch.
Well, Nikki Haley also came out last week. She is running for Republican nod to be president. She said that she had a specific phone call with Zelensky trying to help. And this is when she started to change her mind, said he didn't want help. He wouldn't even really be on the call. It's like they were trying to broker peace. And she's like, he didn't want peace.
You're talking about Zelensky.
Yes.
Yeah, no, of course he doesn't. Of course
in his defense,
you can't defend
in his
him, Eric.
defense, if Canada came in and took all of St. Charles and it's like, we want to negotiate, we'll take St. Louis and we'll give Canada St. Charles, we would all be like,
But it's a very
no.
But that's not.
We're doing pretty good. We're getting Canada out of here.
That's not how it played out, though. The difference in that analogy would be if St. Charles was Canadian. Okay. And the areas around us of Americans were attacking us and killing us. And then Canada wanted to liberate us from the Americans that were trying to kill us. Then it would be a situation like what's going on in Russia.
If you have the former, UN ambassador trying to call Zelensky saying, why don't you guys just step down, take the land you have, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't be too happy about that phone call. You'd be like, no, screw you. We've been shedding blood for the last 18 months.
Exactly.
We're going to blow the crap out of these. Fill in your own
Tab,
blood.
I told you from day one, it reminded me of the Middle East, a Middle East situation.
It is very much
becoming
like
that for sure.
That will not get solved, even though the Donald says, elect me.
Well, look what
and I'll end this war in 24 hours.
Look what the leader of the WAG, I can't produce his name anymore.
Prigozhin.
Look what he said. He goes, this is a lie. To Tab at this point, but on camera, he goes, this is a lie. The Ukrainians are not the Nazis. He was saying this is a false
war. Because how many billions of dollars was he paid to say it?
Why would you say something like that?
Think about
is
this,
literally
Think about this. What is now we call it the Wagner Group. Now it's PMC Wagner's their official name. PMC Wagner was getting ready to be labeled a terror organization by the United States, and because of this attempted coup, we've canceled that. Now we are no longer going to call them a terror organization.
It's done. They've been scratched. They've been eliminated.
But don't you think that lends to the proof that the United States, as we so often have done in history, we were the highest bidder. We probably came to this guy and said, hey, we will pay you X number of billions of dollars if you turn against Putin and you stage a coup. And if you can try to get to Putin, if you can try to get to Moscow, if you wage war for us, and because you know what?
That happens in the movies.
I mean, I'm not saying that's not feasibly
that
possible.
That happens in the movies all the time.
It happens all
Mission
the
Impossible.
time.
Right. What's more possible is this is a guy that went into Africa and dominated, went into other Syria and dominated, went into Ukraine, took 50,000 troops and now has 25,000 and is getting slaughtered. And his people are. His people have
not been getting slaughtered. Nobody's hurting the Wagner group.
They went down there with 50,000, as reported. They now have an estimated 25,000. That's 50% of your entire forces now.
That's
gone.
also propaganda.
There's a lot. Well, I don't know what is and isn't.
Well, that seems like quantifiable evidence.
That's just like the news saying, every day tens of thousands of Russian troops are being killed, but we have 500 people on the Ukrainian side being killed. The numbers are all propaganda.
This ain't ending.
Nobody knows what the real numbers are.
This ain't ending anytime soon.
It is absolutely not ending anytime soon.
That's the problem. And that's why you start to see the coup come up. Boy, Eric, I'm telling you what, I don't know if and when it ever ends.
And Russia wasn't worried. You know what? I was kind of thinking, what is going on here? Until I saw the other reports, I'm thinking, what is Russia doing? Russia didn't care at all. Now, they shut down some streets in one area for a day. But while all this was going on, while the Wagner group was marching towards Moscow, guess what Russia was doing? They didn't care. They were over in Syria bombing the terrorists in Idlib. They launched over 30 bombs into Idlib to fight terrorists.
I did have to bring up one aspect of this. Since America is involved, and we are heavily involved in this war. We're heavily involved, whether we want to admit it or not. When you have as many resources involved in Ukraine against Russia, and yes, it is against Russia, we're involved. Where was Joe Biden over the weekend when all this was going on?
He was partying with his son with the crack in the
horse. That's right.
Exactly right.
Joe Biden, our leader, nowhere to be found speaking on the subject, but it's difficult. I get that it's tough for him to have common knowledge of any situation or to be put in public, because when he's put in public situations, he's embarrassing. I get it. But where is our leader in the midst of all of this happening when we are involved in a war? Joe was nowhere to be found. Yeah, I'm going to bring Hunter in, my good boy. I still believe in him. Everything's fine. And America continues to write checks, and all of this is going on.
But you know what? This is where I get excited. She can have Ukraine all day long. Yeah, talking about Ukraine to me is like me trying to be an expert on ABBA. I have no idea.
It is.
I know that they did a few songs, but I can't really. I can try to speak intelligently about it.
I'm not sure 40 and under even knows who ABBA is.
Yeah, but
probably
it's
not.
like, give me some background information on Kaja Gugu. I can't do it. But here's the deal with this, man. I'm telling you right now, Hunter Biden. Everyone's so pissed off about him not being indicted and all this other stuff, and the FBI not going after this clown show and this, that, and the other. He's already indicted. If the Republicans are smart, if the PACs are smart, all they got to do is run the WhatsApp and say, my father right here.
Right.
And you don't have to get a conviction. He doesn't have to be in jail. It just needs to be public knowledge that Hunter Biden was talking to this Chinese official and says, my dad, who, by the way, is Joe Biden, that is all the advertising you have to do for this next season.
That's a great point, Eric. And that's already been put out, and Republicans are trying. But once again, if national media and local news stations aren't running it, which many of them haven't, although I did start to see some CNN reporters start to get a little bit itchy in regards to covering this how it should be. Who's going to put it out there? You
doesn't
Fox,
matter. Why?
OAN,
the media buy.
Us.
The media buy.
Doesn't matter. You can do.
You know what?
But
Channel 245.
Know it.
Channel 245. Don't worry about it, because for the campaign media buys, it's going to be about someone coming on screen and saying, this is what the son of the president did. You don't have to say allegedly did. You just say that he did it, because it is hardwired in that WhatsApp. And then whatever information you can get against Hunter Biden showing a corrupt system of politics. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. Let me read the exact quote from the WhatsApp before we go to break, and then joined by a guest who can't wait to get on. Grover Norquist. I don't know who's more excited to be on, Eric or Alex, who helped us set it up, because Grover is the end-all, end-all when it comes to talking about certain tax issues, Americans for Tax Reform. We're going to talk with him in just a couple minutes. First of all, what Eric wanted to talk about, the WhatsApp, which was brought out. This is not made up. This is not some Disney cartoon. This is real. Quote, Hunter Biden to a Chinese official. I'm sitting here with my father and would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. And now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father.
With my father. So you can track the IP address back to Hunter Biden.
You betcha.
His father was Joe Biden, unless he has another father that I can't think of. Maybe he does, but it's Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is receiving monies from China, which makes me wonder a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff. You're selling us out to a lot of different entities right now, man.
And you know what? And they're getting ready. I think it's James O'Keefe. I'll have to go back and look at the video.
Mm-hmm.
Is getting ready to release like a mini documentary about Ashley Biden and her diary and the accusations in that diary against Joe Biden.
And we all know it's Joe Biden. I mean, and if you didn't know before, if you watched on Friday the White House press conference, that Kirby guy, when asked those questions, just ran out of the room.
No, he did. It was embarrassing. This is cancelthisshow.com. Get to a quick break. We're going to show you our advertisers. We'll come back with American political activist Grover Norquist. He's also the president and founder of Americans for Tax Reform. You will not want to miss this interview. One of the subjects we will jump into is an increase in IRS visits, surprise visits to homes and businesses. Eric Johnson's here, Tabitha Hassel, Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks, and Pro Joe running the boards. Back in just a couple minutes.
And now it's here, the unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Marco, wait. What? No response? Hi, I'm Curtis Sparks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the car.
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com.
As all of you may know, the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar, Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hey guys, welcome back into the show, canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tap of the Hassle, Eric Johnson, Lizzie Sparks running our live chats as always. If you have any questions for Grover, let us know. We'll try to get those in as we can. And of course, Pro Joe taking care of the engineering standpoint. It's Monday, June 26th. Thanks for jumping in on all of our platforms, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time at cancelthisshow.com. And if you have a chance, check out all the shorts videos that we have on Facebook and at Cancel This Live on Instagram. I think we had 1,000 new followers in, I don't know, last few weeks. Anyway.
Correct, yes.
We appreciate that. Jumping in as we continue to do what we're trying to do here with the free speech and covering the full story of all the topics, especially the things you're just not going to see in local or national media. With that being said, we welcome in our guest, Grover Norquist, the president for Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, we're grateful to have you in. We've been watching you on TV all over national shows. Heck, over the past, 20, 30, 40 years, you've been everywhere. You're an icon. We're grateful that you jump in today. Can you remind everybody what exactly you and your group are doing right now and what's at the top of the list right now in 2023 with so much crap going on?
Okay. Well, we're beginning to put together a list of the new abuses by the IRS. We've been following this for, as you point out, decades. Back in the late, I served on a mission Congress and the president put together about IRS abuse in the 90s, and great testimony from people about IRS waving guns, just terrible, terrible things. They promised to get minority report. I didn't think our report was tough enough on the IRS, but then they're back at it again. This, selective horror stories we're hearing about Matt Taibbi, who the liberal who was given the keys to the kingdom to look at all the how the FBI, Twitter, what to do before Elon Musk got there, and how they censored people, the FBI, and so he was testifying before Congress, and on the day he was testifying, perhaps we're interested. The Republican in Congress, on that day, sent an IRS agent to his home to drop off a note. Now, you could have sent a letter. It was about a make-believe problem from 4 years earlier that he had overpaid, not underpaid. This was a way of saying, we know where you live. I mean, this is and we're now finding more of these at a time when the Democrats said, you know what we should do to the IRS? We should give them $80 billion more tax dollars to hire 87,000 more people to do more of this.
Exactly right. Huge fan. First of all, I was here when I guess Dana Lash, the Tea Party started. Yeah, the Tea Party started, and I was like overwhelmed by, oh my God, this is amazing. Why is taxes not more of a populist movement than, like, say, abortion or social issues for the Democrats? I've always wondered, why have the Republicans not picked up the moniker of taxes and run as fast as they could with it and say, we're going to win elections all over the place because we're going to tax you less?
Well, I would argue that they have. If you look at the Reagan election in 80, he was going to cut taxes by a third, and did, with the tax reform, the Kemp-Roth bill. And then in 84, Mondale was running against him and was ahead of him in some polls at one point. And Reagan took his head off in the debate when he said he got him to admit that he was going to raise taxes. Mondale gave a speech that I'm going to raise taxes. And Reagan said, I'm going to cut taxes, and did. So each of these, and then when Bush was elected, George Herbert Walker Bush, to be the third term of Ronald Reagan, and made the mistake of thinking that he'd actually won the election instead of having it given to him by Reagan, he was losing to Dole until he signed the pledge never to raise taxes, and Dole refused, and that came up in the debate days before the New Hampshire primary that Dole lost.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, read my lips in the convention. He was 14 points behind Mike Dukakis.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm never going to raise your taxes. He signed the pledge. He said it in the debate, and then he won. And then 2 years later, he raised taxes, and despite an otherwise successful presidency, Soviet Union falls apart, no blood on the floor, Iraq kicked out of Kuwait. We didn't stick around for 25 years to supervise, and he loses because tax increase. And at the state level, red states are cutting taxes. Blue states used to raise taxes. Right now, they're scared. Most blue states are just sitting still, but the red states are cutting taxes.
Grover, didn't we already fight a revolution about this? Didn't we already go through this phase in America where we were sick and tired of paying taxes? Now, all of a sudden, I read a report a while back that 73 cents of every dollar we earn ends up going back to taxes, because you have your payroll taxes, you have your employment taxes, you're paying taxes on your food, you're paying taxes on your vehicles. We pay tax on absolutely everything, double tax, triple tax, quadruple tax. How is this going to end? Do we have to have another revolution to get back to where we need to be? Taxation is robbery.
Taxation outside of the Constitution. Taxation pay for things that are not mentioned in the Constitution. That's theft. That's not bad government. It's theft. There's a lot of bad government, but you could waste money on defense. But it is mentioned in the Constitution. I think if it's mentioned in the Constitution, they may be able to do it. If it's not, there's a real question about whether it's something the government is constitutionally allowed to do. Pass an amendment if you want to make something the government's business. That has not been granted by the Constitution. I would argue, look across the 50 states. We've had 12 states now announce that their plan is to go to zero state income tax, no personal income tax at the state level. We're 1.5 years away from New Hampshire becoming the 8th state with no income tax. Right now, they still tax dividends and interest. That disappears January 25. Nice. We're looking at North Carolina, which has had a 12-year phase down towards zero, and they're moving to speed up the movement to zero. Arizona, from 4.5 top rate to 2.5 flat rate, and now to zero. South Carolina had their first tax cut in the income tax in history. They'd never cut the income tax before at the state level. And they're taking it down. And the Republican governor says we're going to zero. And the Democrat he beat in the election in 22 also wanted to go to zero. That's bipartisan commitment to going to zero in South Carolina, which is amazing. West Virginia's voted to go to zero. The plan's in place. Kentucky's voted to go to zero. I mean, we are at the state level. You're already seeing people move from blue states to red states because taxes. When there are not 7 states with no income tax, but we're heading to 20 states with no income tax, everybody's going to be able to drive into a state next to them with no income tax.
That's outstanding.
Well, we're talking with Grover Norquist. He's an American political activist. He has been on the scene for many decades. President Reagan asked Grover to create this group, Americans for Tax Reform, and he has been rocking and rolling it for decades now. But while things stay the same, they also change, and you have new situations and problems to deal with. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Grover, is this IRS situation with what appears to be, or at least what we're hearing, are more surprise attacks with homes and businesses. What are you finding out, and how do we deal with something like this?
Anyone listening who's had this problem with the IRS should call the Republican Judiciary Committee, because they are taking calls, faxes, emails, people who have stories to tell. You will be protected. There was a case that came up, was brought to the Judiciary's Committee's attention. A guy from the IRS showed up, gave a fake name to a woman, said he was with the IRS, had to come in, wanted to look at her a particular tax question, and she said okay, and she showed it to him, and that was not a problem. And he said, well, actually, I'm looking about a different question entirely. She said, I'm gonna call my lawyer right now. And the lawyer told him to leave the house. And the IRS agent said, I'm with the IRS. I can go into anybody's house at any time that I want. This is what they're teaching IRS agents. When that came to light, that person was not fired. The IRS did not jump up and down and say, that's not true. I mean, everybody knows that if the police knock on your door, you ask to see a warrant. But the IRS evidently thinks they work under different rules, that they have no rules. And we've got more of these coming up. And now the IRS has at least 4,500 guns, 5 million rounds of ammunition. It's a lot of ammunition for each gun. I don't know who they intend to be shooting it out with. And when they were advertising, when Biden and the Democrats, not a single Republican voted for this, Biden and the Democrats said we want 87,000 more IRS guys. The advertisements they had said you had to be willing to use deadly force. What? Yes, that's the ad. Now they've taken them down, they've come back up again, but they were advertising for people willing to kill. They don't do that in the Marines, by the way. I've seen the ads for the Marines. They don't.
Yeah. They're definitely becoming now. They're definitely becoming militarized. But I feel, and this is just my personal opinion, that they were hired to come after the middle class, to come after these small business owners. Because I think the whole PPP program was just a big scam to get on the IRS's radar. As a business owner myself, I didn't apply for a PPP loan because I knew that once you did, as well as private contractors, of course, that once you did this, guess what? You are on the IRS's radar. They're going to wonder where all of your money is going. Who are you paying? What are you doing? And so many people I know who applied for a PPP loan or government disaster assistance, they've all been audited.
I think you're exactly correct that while Biden says that he never wanted to tax anybody who earned less than $450,000 a year. Okay.
A lie.
All the energy taxes hit everybody. The gasoline tax hit everybody. Yeah. And inflation hits everybody. Yeah. Clinton said he was only going to tax people in the top 2%. Then Obama said you had to make more than $250,000 a year. 1 month in, he taxed cigarettes. Average income, somebody who smokes cigarettes, $50,000 a year. And then Biden comes in with a new lie, $450,000 a year. That gets them through the election because the establishment press goes, well, he's never going to tax you. Well, yes, he is. He's lying. And if you look at their track records, but Biden says it's going to be the rich and big corporations. Who are they putting out new regulations on how to squeeze every last penny out of people who make their living mostly on tips? Barbers, people who do your nails, people in restaurants. Very few of those people who get most of their money on tips make $450,000 a year. That is directly targeting independent contractors.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Self-employed people. They hate independent contractors and are trying to make it illegal. You have to have a boss. If you don't have a boss, you can't be forced to join a union. So they don't want anyone to work for themselves. Everyone needs to have a boss, according to the Democrats. Then you can get your union dues taken. Then they can pay the Democrats money every year. And then they do that cycle again and again.
Wasn't it you, or maybe it was Steve Forbes, back the flat tax, 15% across the board, no matter how much you made. And somebody ran the numbers, and it was like just this amazing amount of money that was going to come into the kitty if we were on a flat tax system. And of course, you would have to get rid of some of the ridiculous spending. But is that still a thing? Is the flat tax a possibility? Are we going to be progressive or regressive tax conversations for the next foreseeable future?
Here's the good news. The flat tax was always a good idea. Again, 7 states are at 0. Another 12 states have flat taxes. Okay. Illinois has a single rate tax at the state level. Okay. You don't get too much more left of center.
Right.
Massachusetts, up until this last year, had a single rate at 5%. And 6 times they put it on the ballot to get rid of it. And people in Massachusetts said, no, we want a single rate tax. We don't want people to divide us into different groups. The whole point of the graduated income tax is divide people into different groups.
Right.
So you mug them one at a time, and they never face a united people when they raise taxes. But here's the good news. The more states are moving to single rate taxes and then to zero. Our friends in Iowa just voted to go to a single rate tax of 3.99, down from a top rate of 8.6. Georgia has voted to go to a single rate tax. North Carolina moved to a single rate tax. When you get to a single, they're working on this in Ohio right now. When you get to a single rate tax, it's very difficult to raise it. And when we have half the country, 10 years from now, half the country will have a single rate tax at the state legislative level, half the states. Then when you say, let's do this in Washington, everyone goes, I know what that is. I've lived with that. That makes sense. I think that it'll come back to Washington via the states.
Since you guys have been fighting for all this, how are we doing? Do you feel confident that we're moving in the right directions? Are you feeling how's the fight for taxation right now? Minus all the IRS agents with guns showing up at doors.
Well, we got 20 billion of that 80 billion taken away in the debt ceiling deal. And we're going to just go back and bleed that again and again. That's the new thing. Whenever somebody needs some money, you say, we'll give you 5 billion from the IRS. How about that? So the left will gnaw away at those IRS agents wanting food stamps, just as much as the right will take it down, because the IRS should not have, until it's reformed, they shouldn't even think about hiring one additional person. It needs to reform first. Well, we're winning. When you look at the states are cutting taxes across the board. They're moving towards zero. At the federal level, most Republicans have signed the pledge never to raise taxes. And since 1994, when 96% of Republicans signed the pledge, no tax increases passed in Washington as long as the Republicans controlled Congress. And they have controlled Congress half the time, not between 1932 and 1994. 4 years out of 62, the Republicans control Congress. Now, since they've become the party in Washington that will not raise your taxes, they may invade small countries they can't pronounce, but they will not raise your taxes. That's enough to win half the time. That's not a bad start for a political party.
And you know what? I'm a believer in taxes because I don't like to hit potholes. I hate potholes, so I'll pay taxes. If you're going to spend money, why not upgrade the system to where we have a system where you can go pay your taxes with a debit card or a credit card? And maybe a system where if you call an IRS agent, they answer the phone within an hour and a half. How about something like that?
Good luck with that.
So I do
not happening. They never answer.
I mean, maybe investing in the infrastructure of the IRS, but 87,000 IRS agents that are now armed in our communities. That is something to behold.
So you like constitutional taxes, not the other outside.
Exactly. Fair taxes, like where a business owner that pays his taxes, has employees, isn't paying 40% taxes, where someone else is paying zero. That seems insane to me. That seems like no skin in the game. Get off the roads and go hit some potholes. But whatever. I mean, it seems to me like I just hope that with organizations like yours and with the Dana Lash organization, I saw the Tea Party. I hope that we're keeping all of this stuff in check. Because
we're gonna win.
Good.
I love that. You say it with such confidence as well. Before you get out of here today, Grover, and we appreciate the time joining us from your vehicle, can you let us know a little bit about the Credit Card Competition Act? We noticed you've been doing some work with that with your website as well, from saveourpoints.org.
Yeah. The Democrats went after first debit cards, and they wanted to instead of businesses and credit card companies and banks to negotiate, if we do all the transactions, we get a certain percentage of the cost, and they negotiate. There are lots of credit card companies. There are lots of banks. There's lots of competition. There are lots of stores. And the politicians came in and said, no, we're going to set that number. We're going to decide what it is. That's great. And that passed narrowly, but it did pass.
Yeah.
What happened is this is debit cards. They did it for debit cards. Now they want to do it for credit cards. All of the debit cards had these little point things. And if you use our credit card, you get this much money back. All the competition to get you to use their debit card went away.
Yeah.
And now they're going to do the same. The Democrats hope to. I think we have the votes to stop them, but the Democrats hope to do this at in Congress to take away all the credit card stuff that happens. They're going to squeeze the margins and say, we decide what the margin is, what the transaction cost is, instead of the free market and people negotiating. And as a result, you won't have any of those benefits and reward systems that we have now, because we saw them disappear when they did that to debit cards. So I think we can stop them on this, because people are very unhappy about the politicians never told them what the cost of their brilliant new idea was.
Right.
And people with credit cards go, I want that stuff taken away from me. Let me make these decisions.
Talking about credit cards and something that has scared the crap out of TikTok users for the last year. Can you talk a little bit about FedNow and how all of that stuff works with banking and how it works with the government surveillance and knowing your finances? And does that worry you at all of this centralized banking stuff?
The government wants to be opaque in how it behaves. It does not like currency for government. It believes the American people should be naked to any government agency that wants to know anything about you. Oddly enough, they want to know if you have a gun. Oddly enough, they want to know what you spend money on. They're looking to do individual. They're talking about not just industries being asked to go to net zero on putting carbon dioxide in the air. That's what you breathe out is carbon dioxide. But by person, the left of center groups are going, what we need is for the government to know everything about you, so they know whether you're driving a car or flying on a plane and how much carbon you're doing, how often you're breathing, and all of these things about you, so it can control everything about you.
Right.
That's why when you decide to control carbon dioxide, they say carbon, but it's carbon dioxide. They make carbon sounds, well, I don't have any. That doesn't affect me. Carbon dioxide. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide. Get rid of carbon dioxide, trees die. So anyway, but they want to control that level of your behavior. That's why they've got into this conversation of wanting us to eat bugs instead of steak. So we laugh at this stuff when it first shows up, and then it ends up as inevitable and a law that some jerk passed.
Mm-hmm.
We need to early on call it out when you start hearing about it. And this lack of financial privacy is a big step towards 1984 kind of control.
Yeah.
There, Grover, there's no question. I started talking about lab-grown meat and people eating bugs years ago, and people thought I was absolutely nuts. Now here we are. And it is all about control. We know they're coming after private contractors because, they we're the only people off the grid. But now what I'm curious about, and we've talked about this on the show before, and people think I'm absolutely nuts for saying this, how do we fight back? Can we legally, I'm not advising anyone to do anything illegal. Can we legally come up with a movement to where we all withhold paying our taxes until the IRS forces us to pay? And would that wake them up if collectively we could get enough people to withhold their taxes legally?
I think we're in a position where we can, through the success at state level and the federal government, if we run a competent campaign on these abuses, that we'll be able to beat them straight out on a political fight. I do worry they would love to have civil disobedience, because if you remember the Branch Davidians,
yes, we remember
other groups, they will hurt you, okay? And they will be abusive in order to scare other people. And
that's true.
While all movements need martyrs, perhaps nobody wants to volunteer, and it's really no fair pushing somebody else into traffic. I think we can win this fair fight politically, and And as you look at the states, people are leaving the blue states. And, every 10 years, more electoral votes are in red states, fewer are in blue states. The other team can't gerrymander that away, although they'll try and figure out a way to do that. And add to the movement of people moving to no income tax states, there are now 14 states that have passed education savings accounts where you have meaningful school choice, education freedom, where in Florida, they'll give you $8,000 per child to take to a private school, a public school of your choice, to educate your child at home, to do a pod. I mean, there are going to be ways that people get educated that we haven't even thought of because there wasn't that freedom before, and now there is.
Yes.
Grover Norquist, you gave us a lot of time today. We are grateful. We'd love to have you back on sometime. Also, do you have any advice for people, for citizens right now who are watching, listening, or will watch this later on regarding how to better handle situations that are being thrown at them right now?
Well, our website is atr.org. And if you look at the IRS section of it, you'll see how people are fighting back and exposing IRS abuses. One of them, by the way, is more than half of IRS agents never go into the office. Never go into the office. I don't mean Fridays home. I mean never. And the 47 who sometimes go to the office, the IRS won't tell us, or it won't tell anybody whether they're there 1% of the time, 90% of the time, half the time. It must be a lousy number because they're hiding it. So what may save us is the IRS agents who don't go to work.
Exactly. We can pray to God for that.
Don't tell them COVID's over.
Americans for Tax Reform President and founder Grover Norquist. Thank you so much for the information. We appreciate you. Keep rocking it, buddy.
You too. Take care.
All right. Lots of fun with Grover. Learned a lot. Man, oh man, I felt like I was in a lecture, and one that I was very interested in being in.
I wish he was on the show every day because we finally have somebody who's fighting for the right reasons.
Well, he's been doing that for a while.
Yeah, and for a very long time. And I hope he's right. I hope that it's going to be handled at the state level and we don't have to rely on civil disobedience.
Don't you feel like there's a modulation now since COVID started, since it ended, and then it was like, to me, it feels like the people of the United States have been thrown into the air and then they landed and they're like, what happened? And it's like, you have the opportunity to live in this state, Illinois or Florida. Here are the benefits of both. Take your pick. And like Grover said, they're looking for tax-free states. Missouri should be doing that right now. Why in the hell is Missouri not doing that right now?
Well, I think we're going to hear politically that's going to happen if we get the right place.
And the lies, I don't care who the lies from this came from in Missouri. I've been hearing about getting rid of personal property taxes now.
It will never happen.
But you can't do that.
And I'm getting tired of it.
Eric, it's never going to happen.
Well, then say that.
Jay Ashcroft,
and then tell me why it's not going to happen.
Because you have to, by our Constitution, get rid of exactly what Grover was saying, your income tax first. So anyone that's telling you that they can get rid of your personal property tax is lying to you.
But have you not been hearing this since 2008, 2005?
Over and over and over. You have to, in our state anyway, get rid of and repeal the income tax first.
Well, you have to do that too. Like Grover said, he goes, what was it, New Hampshire or something like that? No income tax? Duh. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
You want people to come there, right?
That's who you have to look at your legislators and make sure they're saying first, get rid of your income tax, then go after personal property tax.
Yeah.
If they're telling you that you can go after personal property tax first and they're an attorney or they're somebody that knows better, they're lying to get elected.
Well, I need those guys to stop saying
They do need to stop saying it because they're lying to you.
But Eric, it's not going to stop being said, especially if it gets people's ears perked up. If
correct.
People are starting
they believe it.
Oh, it's not going to happen in Missouri.
It's not.
Just not.
I'm not even half as worried about now having dual houses in Illinois and in Missouri. I can see the difference when it comes to taxes. And quite honestly, you end up paying less taxes in Illinois, as crazy as that sounds.
That's no doubt.
With personal property.
You're right.
Hey, Abe says Indiana's currently phasing it out. Says not true that some states have gotten rid of personal property tax.
It's so important.
Well, it can happen.
It's important on so many different.
But it's not going to happen in Missouri because Jay Ashcroft told us it's not going to happen.
He told us
in Missouri.
Get Parson on the air right now. I need to talk to him.
Parson could have taken care of this. He didn't want to attack that either.
Good point.
But don't you think, to me, the biggest point I took from us talking to Grover was what we all thought was true. It is actually true. Right. The government is coming after the people who are making under the $400,000. Of course, we always knew they would. And more so, what I've noticed every day, and I'm glad that Grover was able to confirm it for me, that what I always thought was true, is that they are coming after us, your average American citizen. They want to uncover and tax what you're paying through PayPal, what you're paying on Cash Apps. And the only way to do that is for them to hone in on your debit cards and your credit cards and your bank accounts, because now, of course, most banks are reporting your income.
We're living under a taxation system that has to be 80 years old. Okay.
And we are.
For sure.
So
we are.
There was always this talk about during World War II in the 50s about having a 90% taxation rate. So you'd only make 10% of your money. And that's progressive taxation. We're getting to a younger generation now. A generation that has never seen a dollar bill in their entire life. A generation that, basically is very comfortable about paying their taxes if it's easy to do. And I think we have an opportunity to be a society that says, look, here's the deal. And here's the truth. You can make way more money in tax revenue by simplifying this whole thing. But there's a branch of our government that wants to make it complicated, so they have that thumb over you. They have another department to have a thumb over you. To me, this is just opinion. I don't know if this is true or not. They have all of this stuff, a progressive tax. So when I go out to campaign in the fall, I can say these dirty rich guys have all the cash and they're not paying their fair share, as the receptionist is paying 40%, which is complete bull crap. The billionaires are still paying millions of dollars in taxes, whether you think so or not.
Not all of them, Eric. Not all of them.
All of them.
No, they are definitely not all of them. There are so many loopholes. That there are so many people.
That's even worse then. Then you just made my point for me to have a simplified system.
I agree. I agree with the simplified system. Yeah. But some of the highest wage earners, some of the biggest corporations in our country pay nothing in taxes.
Right.
But here's the problem, though.
But you're talking about AT&T and Sony and GE. You're talking about
these big companies.
But Donald Trump
have to pay.
I'm smart.
Taxes.
I use the system.
Look at Joe Biden. He owes what? Was it $350,000 in back taxes? Nobody's coming after him. But
Tabitha, what Grover did not say, as much as you wanted him to say.
I agree. I already know where you're going.
Yeah, well, let me say it then. He did not say you should stop paying your taxes.
He did not say that. In fact, he advised against it.
And that's what Eric and I have said from day. Do not, if you.
There's nothing wrong with taxes because there's a lot of amenities that you have as an American citizen. Every time you see an
stop defending taxes.
Every time you see an aircraft carrier, that is because you paid taxes. Every time you see a good school system, which we don't have many of right now, that's because of your taxes. Every time you see an overpass being built, that's because of your taxes. I'm not anti-tax at all.
I am
more, let's fix the damn system.
Eric.
And so that neither party can politicize it.
Did you get
How about
paid?
that? Wait a minute. Hold on just a second. What's wrong? If I go to Schnucks and I buy bread, and I pay 8% on that bread.
You have lost your freaking mind.
And I pay 8%.
There's a good point here.
And I pay 8% on that bread. I have now opted into that tax. I'm completely cool with that. That
means you're an idiot, like the rest of us.
If I start, no, I've never said I'm not an idiot. If I start a business and I say I'm going to employ 15%, 15 employees in my community, right? But here's the deal: if you make money doing this, if you profit, you need to pay X percent
and
to
most
the
of
government.
Those people above a certain wage are not paying anything to the government. It's us that does. Eric, you had a concert this Saturday, correct? Did you get paid for performing?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's just say
in beer.
Just say you were paid for performing, and think about. Let's say they handed you $100. And you take that $100 and you divide it up, and you know that 73 cents of each of those dollars is paid out to taxes, because not only are you taxed on the money you earn in payroll taxes, but when you go buy your loaf of bread, you're taxed for that. When you go to register your car, you're taxed for that.
Well, I
But
think
Eric's point is this: as long as we know where the taxes are going, you're right. He's right. I'm telling you, he has no problem paying taxes if he sees that the potholes are getting fixed.
But they're
right.
not
And I
getting
agree
fixed.
with
So
that.
here's the deal.
I
Here's
don't
the deal.
agree.
Here's the deal. We're politicized. Here's where you screw up taxes. Politics.
Bingo.
Okay? That's
For
where you
sure.
screw up taxes, because taxes could be straight across the board. If you're it says you have the right to pursue happiness. If you want to pursue happiness over at Amazon, making a paycheck and getting all the perks of working at Amazon, your tax rate is not 10%. If you want to go start a business and become a billionaire, your tax rate is 10%. If you want to go work at McDonald's, your tax rate is 10%. It never changes for anybody. That could bring in so much cash, Vic.
It could.
And it even makes a case. It would even make a case to have a digital system at that point. You can't raise taxes. You can be surveilled, but you can't get in trouble for making
Facebook
money
user
anymore.
says, "Pay your taxes. Ukraine is dependent on."
Exactly. That's exactly right. Best
And
comment
another
I've
way
heard
you
all
could
day.
and another way you could fix the United States. Here, you want another way you fix the United States?
Stop sending money outside.
Well,
of the
no.
United States.
You don't take loans on the Fed. You do not take loans. You do not have a national debt. No more national debt. You get to spend what you make. And you know what? The first thing you spend money on is defense. You make sure that no other country can come traipsing in here
That's called
and
Donald
destroying
Trump.
it.
It's called
And destroying
Donald
it.
Trump.
America
Hold on.
first.
No. You protect the borders. You protect the United States. The second thing you do is you make sure that the kids who are 6 years old are geniuses by the time they're 20. So your education system is number 2.
Okay, we give up now. That's not going to happen.
It's a
Damn, Tabitha!
Well, Eric, it's a
What
30.
you said last Thursday that the kids of today are just.
It's a 30-year plan if we start today.
Fine. Well, then it's going to be 31 if you start next year. You got to start now. You got to start doing this now.
I agree, Eric. I wish we could. It would be
Because
great to do.
you cannot absorb $50 trillion in debt. You just can't do it. I cannot afford a $42 million mansion without eventually the bank coming to take their mansion back.
And it literally could be fixed. I get that some people don't want to pay taxes. Some people do pay taxes. None of us really love to pay taxes, but I think people wouldn't be bitching as much if they would just stop sending it out of the country.
I don't think people would be bitching at all if it was like paying taxes on bread or gas. If we were all if we were all considered equals here. Because if you make $1 billion and you have a 10% tax, you now just paid $100 million in taxes.
Our country does not.
Do you understand what I'm
need
just saying? Do you
our
understand what I'm
tax
saying?
dollars.
If you make $20,000 a year, you just paid $2,000 in taxes.
Our country does not need our tax dollars. There was a time we actually survived without paying state taxes. Our country does not need our tax money. They don't need it. They
First
have
of all,
other ways
Tabitha,
of having revenue coming in besides your tax
How are you going to
dollars.
compete with China, who does have this unlimited cash?
Right now, do you know we have the highest tax rate above China? I just read about this in the country.
Yes.
I mean, in the world.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous taxation system. It is based on politics. It is unfortunate.
We're taxed
It was started.
Canada?
That's what I read this morning.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We'll have to check that.
I wasn't
More
ready
than
for that
China
comment, but
is
that
what I read.
shocks me.
And I know David said we have to fund the defense somehow. You know what? Our country brings in so much money through selling arms, through different trade deals. They bring in so much money. They do not need the money of the people. And you know what they do? You know how we know they don't need our money? Because they don't actually use our tax dollars for defense. They don't use our tax dollars to pave the roads. All of our money is spent on international.
You could not bitch about a billionaire paying $100 million in taxes. You could not bitch about that. You could say this guy just made $1 billion and he paid into the kitty $100 million. Not one poor person, not one middle class person, no one. And if you make $100,000, great. Write me a check for 10 grand right now.
If taxes were allocated towards visible, showing where the money is going situations, I think people would be all for them.
Not 73 cents per dollar, no, but a portion, yes.
How about 15? How about 15 cents of every dollar goes to tax?
I would be happy to pay
10
it.
cents. 10 cents.
10 cents.
10 cents.
And you could run the numbers right now. You could do a quantifiable head-to-head versus progressive taxation and flat taxation. Right? You could run right now. As a matter of fact, give me Bing. Bing, run the numbers. You could go to AI right now and run a sample test and see what made more money. And guess what? It would bring the country back together. It would bring politics out of it. You could never campaign on it.
I know, but it's
Vic,
not gonna
come on,
happen.
help me
I'm
out,
with
brother.
you, but it's not going to happen. I'm with you.
You sound like Tabitha now.
I just wish.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Well, it's
Good for you,
2023,
Vic.
and we got so many damn things going on.
It's about time.
Our country's so messed up. We're more worried.
gosh,
We're
it
more
is.
worried, Eric, as you know, about issues such as, well, how do you? What are your feelings today? And we got to make sure that we have the proper amount of people who are hired for this and that. And that brings us into a video that I don't know who brought this up. I think Joe did, and I loved it. Such a well done video to kind of show you what we're more worried about, Eric, than we are taking care of our damn tax system. Check this out.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke. When I grow up, I want to be hired based on what I look like rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work.
I want to weaponize my pronouns. That was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, it certainly puts things in perspective, Eric. That's what we're worried about. That's what we're worried about right now.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. That was manufactured by the geniuses on the left. I'm sorry, it was. As a matter of fact, so was defund the police. That was manufactured by the geniuses on the left. And you guys took the bait.
Catch the sarcasm.
That's the yeah, I did. That's the unfortunate part of all of this is that you guys took not you guys, but the American people took the bait. That's why we're talking about this, is because it's the shiny thing that keeps us distracted as the new world government gets developed.
Right. Everybody's just offended.
As a matter of fact, I'm not sure that Tabitha's not part of it. I think Tabitha Hassel is she's a plant.
I just looked up the tax rates for Canada's 26.5.
Ours is way higher than that.
26.5. Ours, of course, we're on a tiered system, can go up to 37%.
Yes.
37%.
Yep. There you go.
That's right. Can go for more than that, actually.
China is I believe, 20%.
So anyway, don't you feel good about Monday?
I feel like I want to kick somebody. So hopefully a liberal doesn't walk in.
Well, Eric, we were trying to make you a little happier. I mean, I know that you see the video and you're like, yep, woke wins. We're talking about woke. We're doing this. We're doing that. Woke is going to save the day. Check out this video that will pop up. Hopefully you get a laugh out of this one, Eric. Here you
My name is Ernie Whitaker. My pronouns are I, me, he, him, she, her, we, they, us. Sometimes I even use Shakespearean pronouns, which are thee, thou, thy, thyself, and ye. I'm transgender, non-binary, gender conforming, gender fluid, just to name a few. As you all know, the trans movement is the fastest growing movement out there, so I figured, why not get involved in the ground level and use it to my advantage? For instance, whenever I'm late to work, which happens a lot, I'm not gonna lie, I just self-identify as translate. Not translate like the language translate, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That's someone who's late but identifies as being on time. I thought of that one myself.
I'm not gonna lie, it is challenging having somebody like Ernie in the office, but due to diversity requirements, we have to have he, him, she, her, we, they.
Don't forget about us.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And us in the office.
Around lunchtime, I identify as Satya Petrov. She's a 45-year-old Russian prostitute. Being Sasha has many perks. For one, I get to use the women's bathroom, which is great. I mean, obviously. It's way cleaner than the men's bathroom. And my female co-workers are very accepting and understanding. Courtesy flush. My name is Ernie Whitaker. My pronouns are I.
There you go. Welcome to life in 2023.
Except for in Britain, where they're getting ready to get rid of all the
Good. I'm glad. Good job,
what?
Britain. Good job.
That's a big story.
No, I did. I heard this too.
Yeah.
Go on, Tabitha. What is that all about?
True. Well, yeah, we talked about this. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. We touched.
You mentioned it.
I mentioned
that
it.
That was it.
And schools, they are getting rid of when you go to school now, they are no more using the pronouns. You are a boy, girl, and you are no longer a kitty cat, a donkey, or whatever else you might want to be over in Britain.
And it will not stop.
What
in
is
the United
Drew
States.
Collins? Is he a pronoun? Does he have a pronoun?
He's known as Prince.
Yeah, he's Prince the kitty cat.
Is that what he is?
I think so.
Drew Collins.
Prince the kitty
I always
cat.
wondered that because he's super liberal. You think that if you're super liberal like that, he definitely has to subscribe to that, right?
He doesn't have a toilet in his bathroom. He has a kitty litter box, and that's where he goes potty.
But if Britain's doing that, the United States is not doing that.
And we're going the opposite
We're
direction.
going the opposite direction. Over the weekend, here's a picture. This happened in New York City. LGBTQIA questioning activist had a parade, Pride weekend, and they were chanting, "We're coming for your children." They literally, that was the chant as they were marching, women topless, shouting, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." We said, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." New York City, this sort of thing going on still. And now it's not even a matter of just let us be. Now it's a matter of, oh, yeah, we're coming for your kids now. And we're dressed like this, and we're going to do what we do. We don't care about your kids. We don't care about youth. We don't care about children being children. We're going to do what we do, and you're going to deal with it because this is the United States of America.
And it's the tiniest fraction of people on the far left. Why is it that in this country, the tiniest fraction of people on the far left, this only represents a tiny fraction of gay people. Why are they making
Don't call
so
him gay.
much headway?
First of all, I'm learning a lot of stuff about this.
Folks.
I'm learning a lot of stuff about this. Legitimate people who have lived their entire lives as gay, in the closet or out of the closet, whatever it is, are not appreciative of this at all.
They are absolutely not.
right.
I'm telling you,
You're
I
right.
have
They don't-
talked to
absolutely
more
not.
of my
Not
friends
appreciative of what?
about this I have gay friends. They're like, I don't even know what LGBTQAI plus is.
Correct.
Right.
And they have lived together as same-sex marriages for years. And they're like, yeah, we go to maybe a gay bar once every 10 years. That's about it.
Exactly.
So they don't
Eric,
even
that's
understand what this
right.
is about.
They don't. I talked to two guys who have been together for 21 years. I talked to them a little bit over the weekend. And you know what they told me? They said, you know what? We just want to live our lives like anyone else. We don't even own a pride flag because we live our lives. We don't see the reason to call out our sexuality. And they have children and they keep their children away from these people. But why as a country are we giving this less than 1% on the very far left any credit? Why are we allowing them to make decisions for us?
Exactly.
Well, because we let the 1% on the far left
Make the rules.
They make the rules.
They make the rules.
They spend the money
The 2%
on whatever
rule.
they want.
That's exactly right, Joe.
Can you imagine the conversations they have to have with Biden? Because Biden is a 50-year politician that
They're
was
talking
on the,
to Obama, not Biden.
well, whatever. But at some point, someone has to go, okay, Joe, here's your pudding. All right, here's what we're going to talk about outside. Yes, there's pretty rainbows all over yeah, I know, Joe. They're so pretty, aren't they? And they have to explain this stuff to him because this is not the world that he comes from. This is not his world. So it's another bit of the puzzle of how Biden got kind of roped into all of this
Media
stuff.
started all of this, okay? Yes. This was local media. This was national media that started to force you or to make you feel as if you had to do this. And if you didn't, how dare you, we're going to cancel you. You're a bigot if you don't agree with us. If you're not tolerant of our ideas, even if we're not tolerant of yours, you're a bad person. And because you're a bad person, we're going to take away money from you, or we're going to take away opportunities, and we're going to try to ruin your education. Then we started to see it happen on a larger scale, the ESG situations, the political debate. Then we started to see, wow, BlackRock is behind this, and other major companies saying that, quote, we need to change American minds when it comes to how they operate their companies. And then now that you put attention on it from all sides, not just one side of the story, but you actually let, as Eric says, that sleeping giant speak, or as Tabitha says, the silent majority actually starts to stand up and not even yell, but whisper, and starts to make some sort of headway. Then you have Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO, actually coming out over the weekend in an interview with Fox News saying, quote, he's ashamed by the ESG, that's the environment, social, and governance investment criteria debate. And he says that the term was being misused by not only the far left, but the far right, both of them together. He says he's embarrassed to be a part of the conversation. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on right now. And he also admitted that they have Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, he pulled $2 billion in assets from BlackRock last year, and he actually admitted it hurt his firm.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is that we're looking through the portal of opportunity that started during COVID, and then when Biden came in, and ESG is something you always have to look at is who is investing in what. Do politicians and government leaders, do they see the writing on the wall that carbon fuels are going away? And these guys are all in on green technologies. They're all in on all of this woke stuff. They're all in on all this
stuff. If it is, then it's because they're making money off of it.
And that would explain the CEOs being all in and all of this stuff.
Because they're getting big payouts.
Yes. So, and I don't know this for sure, and I'm not making any accusations, but that's how you figure all this stuff out is what is this ESG stuff? What is BlackRock to these people? How are the investments being thrown around? And that, I don't think we're ever coming back from that cliff. You either have to start to learn how to play that game. Don't you think?
Until they learn the next scam. I mean, at one point, remember, it was, what's his name? Was it Quayle? I can't remember that guy's even name. The guy that was big into the earth is going to flood, blah, blah, blah. Who was that?
Are you talking about Gore?
Yes,
Al Gore.
I'm sorry, Al Gore. I couldn't remember his name. He came up with the first scam to get billions of dollars out of people.
I never could figure that one out either.
They saw how much money he made, and then they're like, "Oh, well, let's just keep going with this climate change.
Correct.
Let's create and make people eat crickets."
I think that Gore was
cellular-based meat.
I feel like Gore was surprised by his success, that he put a PowerPoint presentation together and then he owned it.
And
does that make sense? I feel like
the guy took a private jet everywhere, owns a big yacht.
He doesn't buy into it.
Billions of dollars off of people.
It doesn't buy into it. He's not like inviting reporters over to his house to show how he has a 10,000 square foot house with no carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. You guys got to check this out. I have no carbon. He's not excited about his personal life. He's on a jet all the time.
How many CEOs do you think made millions of dollars off of
It's a cottage industry. As a matter of fact, if you were smart and you're a business person, I would start a side hustle on green stuff. I would sell as much green product as I could get my hands on, even though I don't believe in all the, the earth is changing and all. I mean, let's keep the place unpolluted, like Tabitha said. Let's not have polluted water.
Pollution's a different story.
Right, it is.
They don't care about pollution, right?
Yeah.
They don't.
Nobody talks about pollution or save. As a matter of fact, they're killing bees, which I'm going to bring up tomorrow, how the government right now is killing bees.
I mean, there's this whole thing, it's like, when in Rome. And guys, we're in Rome right now. Mm-hmm. So when in Rome, if people are making a fortune off of green products, green messaging, green this, green that, and the other, I could even go as far as saying this. If you were a smart entrepreneur, you could, under the cloak of a business, go sell as much woke product as you could get your hands on and make money off of doing it, even though you might not even subscribe to it. Isn't that disgusting to
Just
say?
the big money
I think
isn't
most
that
of them don't
disgusting?
subscribe to
It'll
it.
come
They
back.
know the
Isn't
line.
that weird to say out loud?
No, it'll come back around. Then you can.
But then you're invisible. You just kind of shut that business off.
You know what? I had a friend. who did not get cupcaked. He was not all for the movement, and he would never be caught dead wearing a mask, but he got a great deal where he purchased mask.
There you go.
At a discount rate, and he's an entrepreneur. Like him or not, he made a lot of money on the mask.
I mean, you can.
And I was like, okay, and I reserve my comments, and I'm just like, oh, I would never do that.
Why? You're going to buy them from Walgreens anyway. Why not buy them from you?
Well, that was his point. You're going to have them at some point in time.
Put on the side of your mask, pet lover. You'll make $1 billion.
That is true. With the bumper sticker on the Prius.
Right.
And I see that as being a different issue anyway. That's being, a business person. These things happen.
By the way, coming up tomorrow, Tabitha was talking about, so that's going to be your tab take tomorrow, how the government
I am definitely going to be talking about how our government is trying to destroy not only our country, but the entire earth. And now guess what? They're coming after the bees.
Well, tomorrow at 9:00, we have another top-notch guest, national guest. He's been all over national networks. His name's John Rourke. He started what's called the Great American Cleanup. He's actually a 16-year Army vet who is doing something at the border. Now, this wasn't, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. He's at the border all the time now. He is there in the midst of dealing with what's happening with this invasion that has taken place at our southern border. And he's going to talk about the crap that's going on there. Not only the invasion, what's being left behind, how it's not only killing our country when it comes to the people who are coming here illegally, but the mess that it's creating as well. We haven't even gotten into all of that stuff. With all these people coming in at our border, they're not just coming in with nice, tidy bags and suitcases and we'll put our trash over here. They're literally tearing apart the southern states.
Yeah.
He's going to break that down for us tomorrow. Can't wait to have John Rourke talk about the cleanup, the safety, all of the things that are going on. A true border expert, one of the best in the country right now. And when I reached out for him to be on the show and we talked about it, he's like, yeah, as long as we can rip Biden up and down because this is all his fault. And I'm like, fair enough. I was like, you're going to be loved by our viewers and listeners. John Rourke with the Great American Cleanup. He'll be on tomorrow at 9:00.
You don't have to rip anybody up and down. And that's what I love about this show. I would be on Biden's side that fast if any of the stuff he did made sense.
That would be all of us.
I have
though,
no affiliation to Republicans. I have no affiliation to Democrats. I feel like I'm in the top level of Busch Stadium watching the baseball game, and with two teams that I really don't give a damn about. And then we come in here and we have the ability to make commentary on does this make sense? Does this not make sense? Is it common sense is what I would love for this show to be known about. We just kind of every day I get in here, I go, what the hell?
I think
on every news story,
that have common sense these days.
On every news story, I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do what with Hunter Biden now because of why?
There is no such thing as common sense anymore.
You're right. None.
That's when a country operates correctly.
I mean, critical race theory was my first what the hell moment around here. Was like, what? You're telling a white kid that he's oppressing that kid over,
Exactly.
and that's how you're going to run your schools?
And now it's a federal holiday.
What the hell?
Yes.
I'm like, I go, okay, that's fine. That's fine, but what are the algebra scores?
So don't miss us tomorrow. Continue to share, show, like it, subscribe, make comments even after we're off live. We appreciate all your guys' support. We'll come back and do it again tomorrow. For Pro Joe, Lizzie Sparks, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel, I'm Vic Faust. Have an awesome day. We'll see you tomorrow. That does it for this June 26th podcast. CancelTheShow.com.